really quick. So everybody's got to wave for my snap, okay? There we go, there we go, there we go. Everybody wave. Wave. Boom. You gotta take care of business before you take care of business. All right. Well, let me start by telling you guys that I think this group is going to be incredible. And I am honored to be here as your first speaker. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for even thinking of me. I just know that God is going to do incredible things with you guys. And so I wish you the best of luck. And if there's anything that I can do to help you along the way, do not be afraid to reach out. So let me start by telling you guys a little bit about myself. I went to the University of Florida from 2000 to 2004. My friend Keith over here told me that I still look like a student earlier today. Graciously thank you for that. But I am no longer a student, as much as I wish I was. But I graduated in 2004. I got a degree in business administration, a minor in mass communications. In January of 2004, 5 months before graduating, I was a lot like several of you students, trying to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my entire life. I remember going to Career Showcase. Anybody got a Career Showcase? Yep. Dressed up in your suits and your ties, got your resume in hand, walking to recruiter, going up, saying, "Hey, how you doing?" The entire time I'm meeting these people, I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm never going to work for you." And that was my first inkling that maybe entrepreneurship was for me, and maybe working for somebody else wasn't for me. So I started looking around. I started remembering a lot of the things that were happening around me. And I used to live on 20th Avenue on the west side of campus. It used to be a little bit further down from the Estates. I don't think it's called the Estates anymore. These complexes change their name every 2 weeks, it seems like. But I lived on 20th Avenue, and I would go out to the bus stop in the morning, and I would sit waiting for the bus, and then this bus would, as it's coming down the road, I'd get off the bus stop and get ready to get on, and then it would drive by with those big words, "full bus," right across the top. Has that ever happened to anybody in this room?
Yes.
Still happens 12 years later. Can you imagine that? That's why I'm still in business. But yeah, the bus would drive by with those big words that say "full bus." And I also remember when I finally got to the point where I had enough credits to park at the commuter lot. I got up to 60 credits, that's what you needed to park at the commuter lot, and I was like, yes, now I can go to campus and drive around for hours looking for a parking space. And I went to go get that decal, and they told me that it had been bumped up to 90 credits. As soon as I got to 90 credits, guess what? It was bumped up to 120. Now you have to be a graduate student to park at the commuter lot on the University of Florida campus. Not sure if it's still like that today, but that's the way it was when I was in school. And then you look around at this amazing university. Gosh, I love this school. But there's no more land. Where do they build their buildings? On their parking lots. Less parking, more scooter sales. So that's why I decided, I was like, man, I want to solve this problem. How can I solve this problem for students? And I made it my personal mission to help students get to and from class at their convenience without having to wait for the bus or deal with campus parking. And so I started a scooter dealership. Jumped in head first into something I didn't know anything about. Didn't know anything about scooters. That was in March of 2004, 2 months before I graduated. I didn't walk at graduation because I was already, in love with my company, and I was going full force in May of 2004 when I graduated. And here we are, 12 years later. So it's obviously been a much longer journey, and I'm not going to go through 12 years, but I really wanted to use this opportunity to kind of tell you guys a lot of, or just a few times at least, of the times that, my faith has really helped me prevail in business. And so I'm going to start with a funny story. It really doesn't have much to do with business as much as it has to do with family. But who in here knows that God has one wicked sense of humor? Right? I got married in 2007, and then in 2009, I had my first child. His name's Schaefer, and he was born on August 24th, 2009. Does anybody want to guess what day that was?
Your anniversary.
No. It was the first day of school at UF. Back to school, fall semester. Does anybody want to guess what the busiest day of the year is for a scooter dealership?
First day.
The first day of school. That's correct. Now, that wasn't funny enough because, of course, I'm like, Lord, that's great. Thanks for these character building moments in life. Thank you for that. And but obviously, it was a blessing. My son is amazing. So, I always make this joke, and we all know, you make plans, God laughs. And so I told my team, I promised my team, I'm like, guys, I'm so sorry. I'll make sure that that my wife never has another child in the month of August ever again. I'll make sure. I'll plan. I'll be good. Exactly 4 years later, my son Maddox was born. Would anybody like to guess what month he was born in? August! Can you believe it? Would you like to guess what day he was born?
24th.
He was born on August 24th. Exactly 4 years later, right in the middle of back to school chaos. I thought my team was going to kick me out of my own company because it was crazy busy. But I think it's it's a funny story because obviously we make plans, God laughs, and that was definitely a character building moment for me, trying to family, business. I mean it's tough, especially during that season. So. And I'm going to just kind of bounce around to different topics and different things, different times that, faith has really played out in business. And for me, the most recent is actually, we just opened up a second dealership. Do you guys know about it? You guys kind of heard about it? So on 13th Street, about 0.4 miles north. Am I pointing in the right direction?
Yeah. Yes.
That way, 0.4 miles north. We opened up our second dealership right on 13th Street. Now, it's only about a mile from our current dealership where we've been at for years. And I had so many people tell me, like, Collin, how did you know that you were meant to open this other business? Why did you go do this? And guys, literally, it was overnight. I just made the decision. And people say, well, weren't you worried about cannibalizing sales? With them being so close, aren't you worried that the new location is going to take away from the old location? And they're like, how did you know? How did you know? And I said, I prayed about it. I mean, that's the truth. I prayed about it. And I remember it was, just to show you how quick this happened, the tenant that was in the building was out on Friday night. I signed the lease Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. It was overnight. And as I'm driving to go sign that lease that Saturday morning, I'm just praying as I'm driving. I'm like, Lord, don't let me sign this lease if I'm not supposed to sign this lease. Give me a sign. I will take a fender bender. I know I've never asked for that before, but I will take a fender bender right now if I'm not meant to sign this lease. And I just got chills all over my body because I knew in the bottom of my heart that I was supposed to sign that lease. I had never been so sure of anything in my entire life. Now, just to kind of show you how things play out, we opened that dealership in 30 days. We went in there, we remodeled, we gutted it, we flipped it, and now it's open. It's right on 13th Street. Please go visit it. Who needs a scooter? Raise your hand. You all need a scooter. Who has a scooter? All right, so all of you that don't raise your hand because you don't have a scooter, you need to go get a scooter. We flipped that dealership. We opened it in 30 days, and then we went through back to school season, which was very busy. We had our best year to date, so we're excited about that. Sold 659 scooters, And, I start talking to the Lord again. I'm like, God, this is really, really cool, having 2 dealerships, but am I supposed to have 2 dealerships? If I'm not supposed to have it, just make my path perfectly straight. Just talk to me. Let me know what I'm supposed to do. Because I think this is really cool. Maybe we'll set one up as a sales dealership and one as a service dealership. Maybe they'll just both rock and roll sales and service. Just whatever I'm supposed to do, let me know. 2 days later, my landlord from my current property walks in the door, and he goes, "Hey, Collin." I don't see the guy very often, and he's an amazing landlord. He said, "Can I talk to you for a second?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So he pulls me aside and he said, "Hey, I saw that you opened up that dealership on 13th Street. I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "So, I just kind of wanted to feel out, what are your plans?" I said, "Well," I was like, "my intentions are to keep both dealerships." I was like, "We're happy with you as a landlord. We love this place. It does well. I just knew it was the right decision to open up that place, so we did." And he was like, "Okay, well, I don't know if you know this, but we actually leased additional space for our company because we were growing at the same rate you were growing, or at the same time you were growing, and I knew that we had you in a lease, and just kind of give a little bit background. It's a long building that we share, and my landlord occupies 2 units here, and we occupy 2 units here, and so he basically said, I don't know if you know this, but we were leasing additional space. We could use the space that you're in, so if it helps you guys out at all, or if you're thinking about moving, we will let you out of your lease. You do not have to fulfill through the end of 2016. We'll just let you out." Thank you, Lord. I mean, what a sure sign how I knew that we were supposed to move. And we're in that process right now, which is going to be crazy. Our goal is to be out by the end of May to move the entire company to the 13th Street location. But I know that it's the right decision, simply by that. One of the biggest things that I constantly get asked, and I actually wrote a blog on this last week, because I get asked about it that much. It's kind of an emotional topic for me, is what was the biggest challenge that you had in 12 years of entrepreneurship? And it took place exactly 10 years ago. When I started the company, I was actually in a partnership. A partner and I started the business. We were in a partnership for 2 years, and we split in January of 2006. And my business partner, actually things were going really, really well. At least so I thought. We had a business. The business was growing rapidly. We had 10 employees. We had done $2.8 million in sales by our 2nd year. We had raised $500,000 from private investors to grow the company. I was 21 years old, taking home $80,000 a year in salary. I thought and I felt like things were going really, really well. January 2006, my business partner wrote a proposal to split the company, and he was set on splitting the company. And I was completely shocked. But of course, we started going through the process, and it's literally a divorce. We had attorney, we were fighting over assets and that sort of thing. And one of the things that I remember was when we sat down with our team, we each decided to take a day to come in and talk to the team individually and let them really have the chance to determine who they wanted to go with. And every single one of my team members chose my business partner. It was definitely one of those moments for me where it's I'm questioning my leadership ability. Is this me? Now I know, looking back, that he was more the financial, he was financially more stable. So I know that the team knew that they would get paid the next week if they went with him, which was obviously important. But going from creating something that was so special, especially to me, to have to really feel like the rug was just pulled out from underneath you and going back to nothing and to feeling alone. I mean, talk about one of those moments where you're just like, you know, I was in deep prayer. Like, am I supposed to do this? Am I supposed to continue on? Am I supposed to fulfill this vision that I have? You know, I saw what this university looks like today. You see scooters everywhere. I saw that 12 years ago. You know, was I supposed to continue to develop and build this culture that we have? And obviously the answer was yes. But, you know, it would have been easy for me to just, you know, say, you know, good effort, Collin. You know, time to go get a real job. And that's not even like the craziest part of it all, because obviously I started a new business. So it was February 10th, 2006, so that anniversary day is coming up. And I built a new team. Now we have 26 people on our team. And we're obviously selling more scooters than we ever have. We're a top 10 dealership for most of the distributors in the country, including Genuine, Wolf, Bentelli, some of the brands that we carry. But I had a hard time really forgiving my business partner. You know, in Christianity, you learn about forgiveness. And one day I went to church, and my pastor had this giant cross at the front of the church, and he was talking about forgiveness. And he said, before I even say anything, you guys already have the name in your head. He's like, and today, you know, he had talked about forgiveness. He goes, today, everybody has a piece of paper. You're going to write down the name on that piece of paper. And everybody in the room is going to walk up and throw that piece of paper at the foot of this cross. And from that moment, you're going to forgive that person. So I wrote my business partner's name down. And I walked up to the foot of that cross and I laid it down. And my life was instantly changed. I received an email from my business partner the next week. My ex-business partner. The next week. And he had told me that he had plans to pull his retail operation out of Gainesville. That's an important part of the story. We were competitors after we split. He told me that he was going to pull his retail operation out of Gainesville. He wasn't going to do retail anymore. He was going to focus on wholesale. And he actually congratulated me on running a very successful retail operation. And we started beginning communications on how we can work together as separate businesses and how they would be able to supply us with scooters wholesale and we'd be able to retail them. Now, I wish I would have forgiven them a lot sooner. Because you look at me, you're talking, you know, that was 8, 9, 10 years down the road. I mean, it was crazy, but I had never been more confident in a piece of paper that I threw at the foot of that cross that day. And it was definitely one of the life-changing moments in my entrepreneurial career. We have an outstanding relationship, and it's improving every single day. I just saw him in November, drove up to Charleston where he's at now, and negotiated deals on behalf of my company, and we were talking about ways that we can grow our companies together. And it's really, really cool to kind of see that play out and come about after all that we have been through. And I mean, I can tell you, like, after the split, when we were competitors, it was nasty for a little bit. You know, it was competition. So, you know, if you have anybody that you need to forgive them. Do the best thing you ever did. And I've had the honor the last 24 hours to partake in an amazing kickoff event for LeaderCast. It was LeaderCast kickoff. These are my friends over here. This is Keith, who's the CEO of LeaderCast, and Jill, who puts on LeaderCast Gainesville. This is her family, Jen and Pete. As I was at these events, I kept one theme kept popping up, and that thing was the really, or at least just kept popping in my head. It was just taking the time to just be there for somebody. Just taking the time to be there, just looking for opportunities to be there for somebody. You think it's so simple. Maybe it's offering somebody a smile, as Jill said earlier today. Maybe it's something as simple as that. But as she was talking, it brought this story to my mind that my pastor had told one time. And I think it's an incredible story, so I wanted to share it with you guys. This guy came to the church. My pastor was outside of the church getting ready to fill up a swimming pool to do baptisms that night. And he was missing a very important part of filling up the swimming pool. It was the hose. Hose from wall to the swimming pool, fill it up with water. So, excuse me, let me get some water real quick, my mouth is dry. So as he was going to his car to get this hose, or to leave to go to Lowe's to get the hose, a gentleman showed up who was one of the members of the church and said, "Hey pastor, do you mind if I talk to you for a second?" He's like, "Man," he's like, he knew that he had to get that pool filled for that night. So I was like, "Man, can't wait." And he's like, "No, it really can't. Do you mind if I talk to you?" And he goes, "Okay, yeah, come on, come into my office. Let's sit down and talk." So he goes and he begins to talk to this gentleman, and this gentleman proceeds to tell him that he was on his way to go kill himself, and that he had no more purpose in life, that he wasn't feeling fulfilled anymore, nobody needed him, so he was gonna kill himself. And as he was telling the pastor, he goes, I have all this stuff in my car, I have duct tape, I have a hose. Pastor goes, "Whoa, wait, what? Did you say you have a hose?" "Yeah, yes sir, I have a hose." "You have no idea how relieved I am that you have a hose." Here's the guy who's about to kill himself. "You have no idea how relieved I am that you have a hose." And he's like, okay, so, obviously by taking the time to sit down with this gentleman, he, obviously impacted that individual's life. Say, "We're going to get through this, we're going to find you help. It'll be okay." And was there for that guy. I would hate to think if he would have proceeded to go to Lowe's to get the hose, and that guy didn't have that opportunity to have that conversation. But the part of the story that really hits home for me is that hose went into that pool and filled up that swimming pool that went to baptizing so many people that night. That hose that was going to be used to kill somebody, God took that and used that as an opportunity to save people. And it's a story that just really hit home with me. And as you guys thank you, because as you guys were talking about those little things you can do, it made me realize how important it is to stop and to pay attention. So I challenge all of you guys, if anybody comes to you, take a minute, sit down, talk to them, be there for them, offer a smile, whatever it may be. All right? Thank you guys so much for having me today. You guys just got exposed to stories that I've never told anybody, ever. And I don't think there's a lot of chances or a lot of avenues to share those kind of stories. So thank you very much.